What's up, everyone? This is Lewis Love here. Welcome to Rave United. This is our second take of this amazing interview. We're going to be talking about Trauma Fest. We're going to be talking about Dr. Free Cloud's record store. And I have my man, Rondi Core, in the house. Sorry about that, man. We had set up the interview, and I got so starstruck with you that I forgot to press record. You catch my drift?
Okay, Lewis. Thanks.
Well, buddy, real quick, I want to mention that you are at your record store. You talked a little bit about the records behind you, and this is like part of your collection.
Yes.
And not all of it. A lot of it's at your house, right?
House, and also in front of me, which the camera can't see, in the DJ booth.
Amazing. You guys got to check out this location. What is the address again?
9043 Garfield Avenue. The city is Fountain Valley. Not many people know that city. It's basically neighbors to Huntington Beach.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not really that far away from LA. I'm looking at the map. So if you're in LA, if you're someone who used to shop on Melrose, which I used to, that's where I met you, Ron. It's a hop, skipping away. Get on there, take a trip, take a hook my man up right there. He's really doing something to keep the tradition of vinyl alive, and it's actually vinyl starting to sell more than CDs. Have you hear about that one?
Yes,
it's out selling CDs. Yeah. It's making don't call it a comeback. It's been here for years.
Exactly. We tell people it never died.
It never died, buddy. But thank you. We were also wanted to touch upon is that Ron and I have been friends since 91 or more.
92. Yep.
91, 92. It's hard to pinpoint the exact date over there at DMC. A lot of cool memories and stuff. You and I were rascals. That's all I gotta say.
I agree.
But man, you called me and you hooked me up with this gig right here, Trauma Fest. And I'm wondering, what is this about? It's almost here, June 16th, 2023.
Well, basically, if you looking at the flyer and the lineup, it's a dead giveaway for us older heads.
Yeah,
to us, it's a revival, a reunion revival, or just really a flashback to the old school days. So we're kind of getting all of ourselves playing again, but at the same time, we're seeing all these big artists that we used to play their records. Artists from the UK, from Germany, from the Netherlands, like all these different countries. Finally, get a chance to play with all these guys that we actually looked up to, or actually played a lot of their music. So it's really a nice, unique, and once in a lifetime DJ lineup that I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest.
No, and Goldie, oh my gosh, that's to me, that's huge, man. And a lot of old school heads such as yourself, RAW, Theo, I see him there. Too Bad Mice, Joey Beltram, and who else am I missing?
Let's see. There's
Beltram's gonna be there, right?
Say again?
Beltram as well, right?
Yeah, Beltram, he actually got added last minute. It was supposed to be Doc Scott. He couldn't make it, and so Carrie and I just were thinking of different DJs of brains. So I told him to get Joey Beltram, and why not? That he was able to lock him in and get him replaced into our Nodo's room.
Exactly. Alternate. That's pretty crazy, man. Nodo's room. What is that about? It has a long history, right?
Yes, of course.
What is that about?
You remember Nodo's? I mean, it's 92 it started. It was essentially just a Friday after hours in downtown LA. It's every Friday. Basically, it thrived during the time when everyone was getting the big parties were getting either busted or people were calling the cops on each other's parties. But for some reason, having an after hours, we were sort of like the backup party for everybody, or at least the party they went to after the other party. So we really thrived from all that.
That's amazing. And this is a 2-day event, so it's not only one. June 16th, June 17th, and I'm gonna drop the link to their website on the bottom. So after this video is done, head over there, ensure your tickets, and also I'm gonna put in some information for Dr. Free Cloud's record store as well, because that's very, very important. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I want to know, man, is it going to be a surprise, or what kind of stuff are you going to be playing?
You know, it's weird. I'm still kind of pondering, but normally what I do, it's kind of like what my normal sets nowadays. I'm not so much hardcore as I used to be. I've kind of veered away from that. So
Mhm.
my mix tends to be a mixture of old school techno with some of the older acid, but I also play a lot of the newer, harder techno and some of the more melodic techno, sort of mixing all like 4 or 5 of those elements together in a set. So I'm gonna kind of do something tailored for this night. I'm gonna
Mhm.
probably be playing a good 50-50 mix of the old school techno, but really focusing a lot on the newer techno that's coming out. And a lot of this newer stuff that I've been playing, it's a lot of it's sampling old school techno. So you're hearing a lot of the old riffs, or they're replaying all the old riffs in some of the newer, more sort of like, really well produced banging techno tracks. I'll be playing a mixture of those two together.
How has techno evolved? Well, is it making a little bit of a circle, like from 91? I mean, I guess for me, I would say the heyday is 91, 92. And then do you see it like going back to that sound after 40 years or whatnot?
It's weird because it's cool you brought that up, because that sound never really died. I mean, it kind
Right.
of like morphed itself into so many things. I mean, you were part of the U.S. hard house scene. Hard house, took the reins on old school techno for a while, and then
Mhm.
a hard house did, and then you're hearing jungle and drum and bass stealing some of the samples, even like some house tracks. So different genres were sort of taking those old sounds, kind of like layering them throughout this whole time. But fast forward to now, I would say the last 4 or 5 years, that whole sound is made full circle. So when I say full circle, meaning that they're repressing and reissuing a lot of older, old school techno records. So they're getting a whole new life with newer records, and they're also making that music again. So you're hearing some of these either same artists or newer artists that are replicating old school techno, kind of giving it their own twist, taking some of the same sounds and sort of the same little breakbeat stabs and all those samples that we always thought were fun. They're taking all that and kind of creating a newer, almost like continuation of where we left off in 92, 93.
Is that what we're going to be hearing, you think, at Trauma Fest?
Well, I think in the room that you and I'll be in, the Nodos rooms,
Yes.
that's sort of the whole theme. It's being heavily pushed on like breakbeats, breakbeat techno, UK hardcore, whatever. There's always different descriptions, old school techno, all
Yeah.
those elements. I mean, you just see some of the artists that they're playing. I mean, from Goldie and like Too Bad Mice, Alternate. They're all definitely gonna be playing very heavy on the breakbeat tip. And then Joel Beltram, he'll probably be playing more like what I'll be playing, because I know he'll be playing probably more. I'm sure it's more of his newer techno.
Yeah.
You'll have guys kind of doing both. You'll hear sort of like the Belgian and German style, more of the 4/4 beat stuff, mixed in with some of the the other guys playing all the break beat and then the heavy like breaks and jungle style old school.
Yeah, funny story about Joey Beltram, a legend in his own right. He tried to make a house record with Energy Flash, and it ended up being a techno anthem. You know about that,
You're
right?
right.
Yeah. you
Hey,
know,
accidents happen. They're good ones.
yeah. They're related. I mean, back in the day, the Detroit techno is kind of like that and stuff. Everything evolves. Uh, so I'm really, really excited for this, man. I better get my electrolytes ready and stuff, because I not only do I love DJing, but I love dancing, man. And like your BPMs up there, 140, 150 and up. You're gonna make me lose a lot of weight. I have a question about the music, about music in general, about our music. Have a lot of those records, and are they lost? Like you were saying, they're redoing the riffs and resampling the old 90s, 91, 92 sound, but there were a lot of white labels back then that we didn't even know who the artists were, right? And
Well,
they were amazing tracks.
they are, and the white labels you mentioned, there are small handful of people that are actually finding these really obscure white label tracks,
Mhm.
and either repressing them legitimately, or they're doing bootlegs of them. So there are some kind of trickling out there. So you'll sometimes hear these really obscure breakbeat records that we thought were lost, but some are getting sort of new life. But even at that rate, they're being pressed in really low quantities, so not exactly getting to the masses. But it's just still nice to see some of those old sounds, or at least some of the those records kind of getting a new life again. Only because now it's like not just us older heads that are in the scene, there's a lot of youngsters that really have grabbed on and gravitated to the sounds as well. So they're kind of, in a sense, sharing the same exact excitement we had, when we first heard these sounds. I mean, of course, for us, it was the first time we heard it because the first time coming out. But these kids are coming in almost getting the same and similar kind of feelings of how cool and how good the music feels when you hear it.
Could I find those records, the limited pressed records over there at Dr. Free Clouds?
Yes, we actually we have a section in our store now. I mean, we have an old school techno section, which is all the used originals. That's for used records. But the newer stuff, we just kind of, it's hard to call it. We're trying to figure out a name to call it for the new section. We couldn't just go under old school new or old school rehash. We had to kind of come up with our own creative term. Now we call it rave techno. So that encompasses all the break beats to the Belgian style, the RNS, like I said, the Joe Beltram kind of style techno, the 4x4. It covers all the different elements that we all loved and grew up with in the early 90s. So now it's just all in a nice section called rave techno. It covers all
rave techno. Is that something you coined?
Kind of. Yeah, I just kind of, just put the two together. It just rolled off my tongue. It sounded good.
And Dr. Free Cloud's phone number, correct me if I'm wrong, 657-888-4695. And you could go on their website, freeclouds.com. Again, I'm going to drop the information on the bottom of this video and stuff like that. Call Ron, ask him about vinyl, ask him about records, but don't call him for love advice. He's not that good at that. It's the only thing he's not good at. Now, you know what? Ask him for some love advice and then buy a couple records. I think he'll be fine with that, right?
Well, you know what? If anything, I give good beer advice. So I know my vinyl. Beer? I got two things going for me.
Oh, that's amazing, bro. So what is the thing, right? I brought up this rave stuff and this old school sound coming back. What is hot right now? That, or is there something else? What is in the Rondi core world of DJing? Where are you at right now?
Right now, well, currently I'm pushing and playing more of my melodic, sort of like I like that the harder techno meshed with more of the melody and more of the melodic stuff. That's kind of what I'm into. Just I was kind of if you remember my older tapes, was it Born in the North and Born in the South.
Yeah,
you remember those were more sort of like the chill, but also still they were techno, but they had a lot of melody, a lot of soft keys, and just really lush sounds going on. So I've kind of gravitated towards that now, going back to my roots, playing that, but also bringing even some of the acid back. So I'm kind of mixing acid.
You've always been an acid guy.
Yeah, acid's one of those things, dude. It never died. Acid's still being made. It's morphed and changed and been redone. It's still here.
And it's amazing because if you look up the history of acid, that little box, man, the little box that people threw away, right? The 303, they threw it in the trash. It was like $50 back in the day, and like millions of people have made music out of it. It's like, what the hell? It's a beautiful story.
It's a little, you're right. The little silver box, it was meant to emulate playing the bass, right? Who would have thought?
And it was awful at it.
Yeah, it was very awful at it.
Yeah.
Thank God someone took out of the trash and used it. Right.
I had a real quick. I had a chat, and then I'll give you the last word because I know you have to open your record store and everything. I went to EDC, and the scene from '91 has just gone like really massive. And there's aspects I really like, and there's aspects that were better back then. And one thing that I did notice, Ron, is just because there's more people there doesn't mean it's better. And we ended up dancing at the areas where there were 200 people and instead of 20,000, mostly. There was just a better vibe out of that. And I remember back in the day with the raves, the goal was to get to 50,000 people and stuff, make them bigger and bigger and bigger, and thinking that's better. Do you agree with that statement, or do you think smaller is better sometimes?
You know what? I'm gonna call out a double-edged sword on this question, only because it's one of those things that's like it's good and it's bad. It has its good positives. It also has its negatives. Me personally, fast forward to today, I prefer things smaller.
Yeah,
I really appreciate the smaller, like loft parties, the little undergrounds that are coming back essentially in the same areas of downtown LA we used to start when we started out. That I'm into like just the smallest of gatherings. And again, you're right, like more intimate. That to me is more fun. But you're right. But in the 90s too, when we were doing shows, I think all of our goals, like every promoter / DJ, all we ever thought about and dreamed about, oh, I wish my party could be bigger than that guy's party. So
correct.
Remember, it seemed like everyone was trying to outdo each other's flyers or trying to outdo each other's like venues or outdo each other's how many watts of sound they got, how many lights they got. So it just every flyer, it was, if you remember this, it was like outdoing each other to the point like, okay, now we're running out of spaces. We're at the point where we can't even call it underground anymore because we're so large.
It's overground.
They're gonna find us anyway. So now we had to start looking for, like go to the Shrine or go to the Coliseum or go to like some, sports arena. We had to go for these big venues. And eventually it got so damn popular, like it really just, the seating outgrew itself. I mean, it's kind of cool, like you said, it has its fascination. It's nice to see how large it got. I mean, granted, that's 100,000 person capacity or party isn't exactly something I would like, if I wasn't DJing, I wouldn't go, I'm going to go spend $2,000, go spend a couple of nights at a, 100,000 person party. I just wouldn't do it. I'm not a festival type person anyways. If I like a band or a DJ, I want to go see them on their own in a more intimate, quaint place and just have a kick-ass time doing that. So in a sense, like you say, it's nice to see where it's at. But on the same token, it gives choices. All the newer kids and the diehard old heads that never gave up want to still keep going to the bigger, they're not called masses anymore. Now they're just they're festivals. They're at a whole beast of their own. I'll just stick with the old, the underground style. That's been healthy. And I'm very blessed and lucky that just newer promoters that know of me and still book me and hire me to play some of these really cool, like, in my opinion, more vibey and more like, kind of almost like cooler undergrounds.
Right.
The ones we used to go to, these are the more like, now they're more kind of slick and they're actually putting more money into these little undergrounds. And there's, of course, technology and stuff, but it's fun that we've been through this whole ride. And when the dust has settled, I'm going to be like you, Lewis. I'm just going to go with and say the smaller vibe your party is. We
gotta go and party. One day I want to get Ron Decor on the dance floor. My goal right now, and I hope
good luck with that, right?
I hope Helen's watching and everybody. And my goal for Trauma Fest is to play such good music that Ron Decor finally goes on the dance floor, and instead of me worshiping the speakers as he's playing, I want him to worship the speakers when I'm playing. Just once, God.
Okay. I'll give you that, Lewis. I'll give you that.
I want to ask you this question.
I'll be your groupie for a couple songs.
I have a question for you too. I've been dying to ask you because I have a son, and I'm wondering, like, your relatives, how do they react to the hardcore? Like, are they used to it now? Like, because my kid, he'll just pass by as I'm playing music and kind of like ignore it, but I know he is paying attention to it. He's at the age where he's 14. He ignores it, because dad ain't cool. Dad ain't cool at 14, no matter what, Yeah. What are the reactions you're getting from family members that,
I mean, with family members, they got used to it a long time ago. I mean, when I was during the early 90s, my parents even before then, before I was a DJ, I think it had to go back to the 80, I think 86 is when I started. So even going years back, my family already knew I was a music nut. They saw me collecting and amassing a large record collection already. And so they already knew I had some kind of musical interest, and so as the DJing thing started to come out and they're realizing, okay, our son's like gone every weekend in downtown LA. We don't see him until then. So they realized, okay. And then they started hearing, because they would hear my music all throughout the day at night, me practicing. And so they knew it. Back then they go, it's not our cup of tea. We don't like your music. But then it's funny because now some of my family members like the music.
Yeah.
They like all the commercial stuff now. And then, my nephews and stuff, they're adults and, they're getting ready to have their kids as well. And so they're at the age where they're going to like Coachella or they're going to go to EDC. Of course, they go now because now it's trendy and cool, but the cool part is that at least they realize, okay, our Uncle Ron, he's a, well-known DJ. It's kind of cool that he's our uncle. And so it's nice. They always ask my advice on some of these bigger shows, what to expect. And you know, or, hey, have you heard of this song or this artist? A lot of the newer artists, I would have to admit, the commercial ones, I don't really know that well.
Hey, same here, man. I'm not trying to be cool here, but I could not tell you what a Tupac song is. Like I do not know that stuff at all.
Okay. It's okay, man.
I'm like in an alternate universe, man. I'm like, who?
Wait, but so Louis, let me ask you, what does your son think of your music?
That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know.
What is your son into? What music is he like?
Well, he's not into music at this point. He's into video games and the YouTubing and
oh geez.
Yeah, well, but he loves it because I do have another channel called Nerd Report that's like massive. And he looks at that and then shows off to his friends. Yeah, look, my dad has a channel that's like thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are watching it. So he shows off to his friends about it. But again, he's 14, and I feel like kids at that age kind of like are a little standoff with they don't want to give their parents a cool approval, you know what I mean, in public. But I think he likes it. I do think he likes it because he would have complained.
Yeah, my son's the same. Well, he's like a year younger than yours, so he's same boat. Doesn't really care. Doesn't care to come to the store, and yeah, he's all into indie rock. You know, he's more on the indie stuff, and so yeah, that's sort of his thing. And of course, you know, he's recently discovered some of my videos online. So we tried our best to hide the some of the old footage of, you know, people screaming hardcore, like, and of course some of the profanity and the bad words and whatnot.
No, look, I was there as a witness, and I could.
You know what I was saying, because you saw firsthand.
I can honestly tell you that there was never any profanity involved with anything to do with Dr.
Hey, our old boss heard enough from us. He used to get mad at us for all the profanity records we would play.
Man, I like to forget about that, dude.
That's okay.
Ron, thank you very much for being here on Rave United, brother.
Likewise.
Thank you. Stay on a little bit. I'm gonna end it right here. Yeah, there we go. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, people. Yo, what are you waiting for? You're watching the videos. You're liking the videos. We're trying to get you top-notch talent here. And what do? You can't press the like button or the subscribe button. Damn, kind of a raver are you? Bye-bye.